The following is a Cheeky Leprechaun production.
Pop culture is the entirety of ideas.
Me, Mario.
Let the bass kick.
I am the greatest.
Holy eggshell!
I am your father. This is the Pop Culture Report with Dan O'Kelly.
We're back. Another installment of the Pop Culture Report. Joining me, Justin is back again. Justin, how are you?
Yeah, good. Yourself?
Good, mate. Could be better.
Yeah?
Well, the corona.
Oh, you feeling a bit ill?
I'm not, but a lot of people seem to be.
All right, because I almost got up and walked out.
Yeah, no. See, okay, so you're paranoid about it?
Nah, that was, yeah. I'll be fine. I'm not worried.
That's blasé.
I-
Mate, the world's in turmoil.
I mean, like,
Not turmoil, but we're getting there.
people are unnecessarily scared.
Why unnecessarily?
Just like the statistics of it at the moment. I mean, like, yeah, it's going to spread. Yeah, probably a lot of people are going to get it. But for, 90% of all those people that are going to get it, you're not going to know you have it. You're going to think you have a cold and it's going to go away.
But that's my issue with it. How the hell do I determine between the two? It seems it's just a flu. That's what it doesn't make sense. Yet they're clearing out coals of toilet paper.
Yeah, that's...
Like, isn't it? That's just
It's
it,
so
isn't it? It's just going to
weird.
be a flu.
Yeah. I mean, like, I think if you were to get sick, you should just avoid being around other people that could get dangerously ill from it. In the sense
And
that,
they're saying like seniors and that
yeah,
sort of stuff.
people that have pre-existing medical conditions, people with respiratory issues or something wrong already, or elderly people or very young children. I mean, like, as you should avoid them anyway when you have a flu or any sort of sickness, you just avoid them more so now if you have any sort of signs of having a cold. Otherwise, you've probably just got a cold. And if you've got it, I mean, like, it's just going to go away.
Mate, I don't even want to cough around people at the moment. You cough and people raise an eyebrow. They look at you and go, you got the corona?
Yeah, it's when you make eye contact, look them
Yeah.
dead through the soul and just cough again.
And I'll never tell. It's absolute chaos at the moment. This is really, like, I'm trying to think. The only thing I can think of, do you remember the whole SARS epidemic?
Yeah, that was like 2006, 2007.
Okay, so
maybe?
there was SARS back then. Then was the swine flu more 2012? Or was that later as well? Was that like 2009?
Because
I
remember
don't
it.
remember
I
SARS.
Can't remember what time.
I remember the
I
swine
remember
flu.
swine flu. Yeah.
So that makes me think SARS was longer ago than that. Do you know what SARS was?
I know it was like, I guess, a similar sort of thing, but not on the scale that this has reached.
So SARS was not as bad.
Yeah, this surpassed
Jesus.
SARS within the first 2 weeks, I think.
In terms of people infected or deaths?
I don't know about deaths, but I know it's spread and amount of people infected.
Yeah.
Because this is just spread like wildfire, which I mean, I think is just an addition of, it's harder to stop things like that these days with the amount of travel and,
Yeah.
you're in contact with the world much easier now.
Yeah, absolutely. When I messaged you and said, hey, let's do a podcast, are you free Saturday? Yeah, what do you want to do? Sort of around coronavirus. Did you think it was in keeping with the show?
Yeah, it
kind of is.
It fits everything. It's one of those things that has a big impact on our lives,
Yeah.
which of course has an impact on things like pop culture.
Exactly right. And that's what I was thinking, because we're starting to see it impact virtually all forms of things in everyday life. Whether
Yeah.
that be, mate, I am going to say toilet paper has never been bigger in pop culture than what it is right now.
Oh, it's huge.
And it just might not be as big as hand sanitizer. I don't know what's bigger between the two, but you can't get them anywhere.
Yeah, it's been rolling off the shelves.
I was in a supermarket the other day. They've got security.
Have they actually?
Yeah.
Oh, I haven't gone around anywhere.
I recommend not. It's chaos. And, mate, I'm telling you, between long life milk, hand sanitizer, toilet paper, the aisles are empty, and they're wheeling out replenishment stock for the shelves, just trying to make the supermarket look professional, appealing. And people are jumping on the trolleys and grabbing stuff.
It's nuts.
They've
It's
got
absolutely
security.
nuts. It's wrong.
Coles supermarket, security. I can't believe it.
I think it was weirder in the sense that I had a mate from uni the other day say that he went to the shops to get pasta, and pasta's all gone, flour's all gone.
Oh, yeah, it's gone.
And it's like, hang on, we're not talking about like a 10-year apocalypse here. How much
think
do
people
you,
think we are.
But like, how much do you use flour? How can flour be going off?
I don't
How long is
understand.
that bag of flour been in your pantry? Why do you need to buy 6 more now?
Well, yes, exactly. And here's what I think, right? So when I was at Coles, I was there for work. I was needing to buy some product, a cleaning product. And I was told, get 4 boxes, all right? Just so we've got enough.
Yeah.
But it had nothing to do with coronavirus, nothing to do with having a fear of any shortage of it, because it wasn't applicable to that.
Yeah.
But here I am walking out of the supermarket with 4 of the same item. Justin, I think at this point we could walk out with 4 of any of the same item.
And everyone else will follow.
And people will look at you and go, should I have that? What is that? That looks important.
I think that's a good test. I think we
People-
should try this.
I think we absolutely should. I reckon we could skyrocket certain products. And maybe
Wow. This is dangerous.
is dangerous.
This is breaking the market.
I'm telling you, there's an opportunity here. But it's weird. It's a very weird time. I don't think people, I can't work it out. I don't know if it's a mix of people not bothering to go in depth enough in the information regarding coronavirus to actually form an informed opinion.
I don't think it's as much as that as people don't know these days in general. This goes beyond coronavirus in how to properly formulate their own opinions on things.
Explain.
So this is like relevant to, politics, the bushfires, the coronavirus. Pretty much everything that's happened this year is a great example of, I guess, critical thinking, which is something that's, not really being taught to kids properly these days. It's out of a lot of school curriculums. And the more people are sucked into like mainstream media, they lose their, I guess, maybe drive to think for themselves properly.
Yeah.
So, watching, commercial news like Channel 9, 10, 7, all of that, you're getting a biased opinion on something. And a lot of people don't realize that they are getting an opinion that's not necessarily 100% accurate, or it's been skewed to have one focused view.
Yeah.
And when people try to then, I guess, branch out and look for themselves, they're looking at websites generally like BuzzFeed or other company-owned things that just...
They've got an agenda behind what
Yeah.
Yeah.
And people tend to then follow along the same belief line. So if you already have some opinion of something, you're going to continue looking at that. You're looking for that opinion. And if you see other things that go against that, you're probably going to think that's fake news or something along those lines.
Correct.
So when people are thinking this is bad, they're looking up statistics of people getting killed by it all over the world, and then they're seeing, predictions made by people who don't have any like qualifications in this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So, small news outlets that post crap online all the time, and they're seeing that, they're like, oh, look at this pandemic, people are buying stuff, you better empty the shelves. And then they go to the supermarket and, as you said, see someone buy 4 boxes of Tim Tams and are like, I can't live without Tim Tams. And like sheep, they're buying 10 boxes of Tim Tams.
Exactly. That is also, you made a good point there. My concern is, so we think about like, we were talking, I don't know if we were talking on here or not, but we were talking about, swine flu
Yeah.
just before.
Yeah.
I'm like, was that
about
before
2
the
minutes ago?
podcast
Yeah.
or was that, all right. To me, the biggest difference between the two is probably the increase of social media.
Yes.
I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because every asshole has an opinion now.
Mm-hmm.
Just like every asshole has a podcast now.
Yeah, that's ironic.
I apply to this. But to your point, how many like blog sites are there? Sites that are essentially blogs that are treated as news sources.
Well, that's what people see them as. It doesn't matter if they are
Yes.
or not. People think they are. So
Especially those
Yeah.
that present a professional front. People
Yes.
aren't able to, with the amount of news out there now and the amount of sources, people can't distinguish between what is a reliable source and what isn't.
which is, for a lot of things, is really dangerous because
Mm.
it can get people in serious trouble.
Yep.
Yeah.
The other thing though is in terms of this, I do see the benefit. because
The spread of good information is much quicker.
yes, and sometimes the spread of information in general,
Yes.
good or bad, is also good.
No. People
But-
are aware of the situation.
But again, a lot of the time it comes back to people. There's so much. People just read the headlines.
Yes.
People don't actually go that extra mile to read something and understand it.
Yeah.
I'm guilty of it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But in this case, I think people are a little bit silly to not do the research
Yes.
because what do we know? It's essentially a flu.
Mm-hmm.
Why are the shelves empty?
Yeah,
I don't understand.
It's stupid.
I don't
It's
know
so
what people
stupid.
think's going to happen. Like, okay, so another reason we want to talk about this, right, was we've seen how pop culture has been impacted by the coronavirus. One of which is the skyrocketing up the charts of the 2011 movie. Yes, it would be 2011 film Contagion. Now, did you ever see it or not?
Yeah, watch half the movie.
You watched half of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I know the plot line.
You know the plot.
Yeah.
It's, essentially about a virus that spreads across the world, killing. I can't even remember how. A lot of
a
people.
lot, yeah.
It's a movie. It's a Hollywood scale virus.
And
It's big.
it does have a lot of you can really like
Yeah,
make
you can.
connections between it.
Absolutely. And especially, well, I mean, the biggest thing was in that movie, they didn't know for a long time what the hell it was and or how to create a vaccine to fight it.
Yes.
Is there a vaccine yet for...
No, we're probably at this stage, as far as the information I've heard from sources, and I'm not credible.
Yeah.
And
You sure? Do you have a blog?
the sources I have are somewhat credible, but in different fields. But then they're connected to people who are credible. So I'm like 3 steps off.
Okay, 3 steps away from credibility. Go
Yeah.
on.
And from what I've heard, it was originally about 8 to 12 months as of maybe a couple weeks ago. I saw that at least Melbourne Uni was just granted a hell of a lot of money a couple of days ago, and now I think they're saying 3 to 8 months
3 to 8 months before we'll have
a vaccine.
a vaccine.
I'm going to assume at the moment I'm just going to sit around 6 months. That's what I was thinking earlier. I think 6 months is a comfortable amount of time to assume
yeah.
to when we're going to have one, because
There's a priority on it. Like people, surely there is.
There is. Plus, there would also be private companies working on it to try and profit off it.
Yeah.
And you'd have to assume that someone's going to get it done first.
Yep.
Hopefully not the private companies, because you want it to be cheap.
Yeah. So if it is a private company, it'll be more expensive.
Well, they can just market it and sell it to...
Arseholes.
Yeah.
Arseholes. So, okay, here's one thing I don't really get. You might understand better. If people are sick now and they're saying, oh, you'll be fine, we'll just treat it. What does that mean then? If there's nothing to treat it with? I mean, the vaccine is to prevent it
Yes,
from
the
happening.
vaccine's to prevent it.
So, but there are things that they can do to
I mean,
eliminate it from the body.
it's more of
I'm very confused. Now I'm starting to think about getting toilet paper.
Well, what do you do when you have the flu?
Stay in bed, sulk for 3 days.
And then it works.
Blow my nose.
Your body kills it out of your system. So it's the same thing.
You're joking. So the body's going to be able to just go eventually.
For us,
yeah.
the body will fight it off and kill it.
Why are people dying?
Because they have
'Cause they're
problems
unwell.
with their immune systems, which means that their body
Suddenly
can't
it all
fight
makes
it
sense
off.
again.
Yes.
See? Suddenly I feel better. Just like that.
Exactly. You have a strong immune system, and probably everyone listening to this would have a strong immune system. If you don't, maybe pay attention to things a lot more, because you're probably...
Read.
Yeah, read.
So, yeah.
Buy toilet paper.
Buy a lot of toilet paper.
I don't know. I still don't understand why toilet paper.
Of all things, the toilet paper.
It
I would have
doesn't-
thought food would be more pressing. I mean, yes.
There are alternatives to toilet paper if it gets to that point. But
Like,
why would it get to that point?
Go on.
How
Well,
fast
because
do you
I looked
use
at
toilet
hand towel
paper?
the other day. That's gone.
What, are you serious?
Yeah. Because people are going, what's the closest thing? That, I guess I'll just get hand roll.
But just the thought of who's like, I better mass buy toilet paper, because how much do you need to go through toilet paper? I bought a slab. I guess, I don't know. What do you call a bag of toilet paper? It's like a slab. You
Well,
buy
is
like
there 24 in there? It's probably
Yeah, it's
24.
probably a slab.
Probably a slab.
I
Yeah.
got a slab of toilet paper when I first moved into my house 4 weeks ago now.
Oh, so you're set.
And I've used 4 rolls.
Don't say this to. I might have to cut this out. People will raid your house, mate.
I haven't
We
put my
saw
address out
Contagion.
here.
People started going nuts.
Yeah.
That's I don't know why. It's like there was a message sent out at some point that we didn't get.
Yeah. And
That-
it's like, buy toilet paper.
Why was everyone on the same page
Yeah.
about the toilet paper? It seemed like everyone was. Unless there's like, in our area, for instance, 100 people that all had that same thought. That's not many in the scope of our
Yeah.
general
Yeah.
area. And they all just went and bought bulk. Again, though, I don't know.
It doesn't make
You're going to feel
doesn't make
silly
sense.
in, a
Yeah.
month, 2 months' time when
I mean, you're just going to be like, wow, what do I do with all of this toilet paper?
toilet paper companies are killing it.
I mean, it doesn't go out of date, so you can still hold on to it.
You're just going to have it in your house
know.
for God knows how long. But yeah, so back to the movie Contagion. There are some concern because when I saw that jumping up and everyone was being like, "Oh, Contagion, the highest streaming movie on Netflix in the US or whatever right now,"
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh shit, that was a really good movie. Did really enjoy it." Why would people want to subject themselves to that?
Yeah.
I guess people just want to see.
I think that goes back to the whole people doing their version of their own research. Because I mean, like, that's
You're 100%
that's what
right.
I was saying when people need to be careful about this.
Yeah.
They're watching a blockbuster movie as research for what could happen. And I mean, look, to give it credit where credit's due, and again, I'm not qualified, so I can't say this. But from
You're
what,
not going to say it. Oh.
from things that I've seen happen here in
Yeah.
terms of how people have gone about looking at these things, like, that's following a normal line of how you would go about solving something like this.
The movie.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, like in the movie, they try to recreate the virus because you have to recreate it to then find a vaccine. And yeah, they like struggle to do that. That's one of the first things we did. Like Melbourne was, I think, the first place in the world to recreate what's it called? COVID-19, the coronavirus.
Yeah.
And like we did that, but we did it like straight away. Like it was like a week after it became a problem. And we recreated the virus that we could then start working on vaccines.
You've got your Melbourne uni. I just realised you plug in your own university here a lot.
Hey, you said it, I didn't.
Yeah, I don't know if I did. Anyway, sorry, go on.
Yeah, so I mean, like, I guess to an extent, obviously it's dramatized, it's Hollywood. They throw a bunch of, like, the scientists throw a whole bunch of words out there that I don't understand and that probably don't actually fit anything. But the, I guess, chain of progression of how they go about doing it, whilst it's like super heightened in that, like, I think by day like 15 or something in the movie, there's already like a hell of a lot of deaths.
Oh, yeah.
And I think worldwide, there's,
108 was the last one I saw.
yeah.
And there was that was mid last week. So there could be more.
Yeah, and there's 44 cases of people infected in Australia. Like,
Is that it?
Yeah.
See, that's the concern though. There has to be more.
well, the thing is that it's not the amount of, it's like the way that it spreads is just going to increase much faster and faster. As like, if I tell you and one other person to go and buy toilet paper, and then you tell two people to buy toilet paper, and they tell two people to buy toilet paper, it increases very quickly.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with this in a way that, one person comes to Australia that's infected by it. And think about the amount of people they have contact with before they realize that they're sick. Apparently, this thing can hang around on surfaces for like a long time. That's like the incubation period of it or something.
Oh.
So that's one of the problems with it, is that it stays alive on surfaces for a long time. So, going in trains and stuff like that, you're holding onto the pole. Someone could have held onto that hours ago and you have just grabbed onto it and then put your hand in your mouth because you put your hand in your mouth.
Well, and that's what the movie, again, going back, because I'm on the simpleton side of this. You've got a little bit more education on science as a whole.
Completely different science, but yeah.
Completely different science. But still, to me, I'm going, yeah, I did watch Contagion. And you know what they taught me was how often, I don't know if this is true either. I should have Googled it. How often a human touches their face every hour.
I don't know if the stats I don't remember what the stats they said in that movie were.
think they said
but it's a
something
lot.
like- yeah.
we do touch our face a lot, and there was a video that I watched yesterday as like a GIF on Reddit. There was of a woman. I think they were in America or they're in Australia, and she's basically giving a news conference saying, at this point in time, like one of the big things that we can tell people to help avoid this is to avoid touching your face. Like it's simple. Don't like scratch your eyes, rub your nose, something like that. But the funny thing was, at the end of the video, she goes to turn the piece of paper and licks her finger to. Yeah.
Oh, I just unplugged my headphones. That was so funny. That was not what I expected you to say. I thought you were going to say she rubbed her nose or something.
Yeah, and
licked her finger.
Yeah, she licked her finger after she said,
Did she address
"Stop
it?"
touching your." No, it's totally like she does it without thinking about it, and I guess that goes to the fact that no one realizes how much you do it. But like, then it goes on to the what's that theme song?
The Curb Your
Yeah,
Enthusiasm.
Curb Your Enthusiasm theme song. Yeah, as soon as she does it, it starts and then rolls the credits, and
that's great.
It's true, but it's hilarious. Like, it's just emphasizing the point.
I've never understood, coronavirus or not, people that lick their finger when turning a page. I get it. I understand the practical
Yes.
side of it. Disgusting.
It is a bit odd.
People do it when counting money.
Now that's bad.
That's really bad.
Really bad.
Why would you do that?
Yeah. I mean, like, if there's one way this thing is going to spread easily, you think about something like money. Imagine how many people have touched money.
Mate, you and I both in our jobs handle a lot of cash.
Yeah.
A lot of cash.
Yeah.
Not our own, but our companies.
Yeah, very much not our
But
own.
you do. You're like, every time you're at work, you're
Yeah.
like bundling money, you're counting money. You've got a safe of money.
Yep.
It's like, that's super concerning.
And like, when you think about it practically, that is when you talk about incubation period of these things, because often things will only last on a surface for maybe like a few minutes to maybe a few hours. But this one is just particularly bad because it lasts a long time. I don't know what the
I
time
wonder
is.
how long it is.
I can probably look it up while we're talking.
See if you can look it up. Because another thing in that, in Contagion, the film, was they were talking about, there was this guy that was like, I opened a box from China with scissors.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
He
did you
said,
see that bit?
Should I be worried? And she says, like, how long ago? It was like a week or something.
Yeah.
And it's fine.
And she was like, yeah, it's fine. It can't live that long. But in my mind, I was like, well, how long could it live? What is a long time for something to live on a surface? You've now pretty much put in my mind that it's actually quite a short
For
time
most
frame.
things, it is a short time.
Huh,
No,
okay.
like short on the scale of, if someone coughs on a seat rest, like standing on a train, and you go 5 minutes later, there's, you're probably going to still have germs on there.
Oof. Public transport. See, this is why I drive everywhere.
Well, I've been taking the train into uni and back. So
Oh, have you really? Stop that.
I've driven half the days, but I can't afford it.
That's right. You go to uni where they're fixing this whole thing, so you'll be all right.
I mean, a lot of people are working on it.
You
It's a group effort.
You should be a guinea pig. You should be a human experiment.
Oh, I'd rather not.
Why? You'll be safe from it.
No,
You'll be
because
vaccinated.
if I even get sick, then I would probably rather stay home, and then I'm missing out on class time, and then I'm going to fall behind, and then I'm going to fail.
Oh, such a nerd. Such a nerd. Look for that time off. So that's one thing I thought about this whole coronavirus was when I first heard of it, and this is my work ethic, I thought, I'd be all right. Apparently you don't really die from it here. And 2 weeks in quarantine, 2 weeks, Netflix, Stan, catch up on all my Amazon
Yeah, but
shows.
that's 2 weeks you're not working, or 2 weeks you're not studying. And for us at this point,
Yeah.
when we're
Yeah.
quite poor students or
Getting
poor
older.
people in
Yeah.
general,
Yeah.
that's tough. Like that's
Sick leave?
That can be a real problem.
I
I mean, yeah,
uni that won't apply.
there are a lot of businesses that I've heard that are basically telling people don't go away, and if you do, now that we've told you not to go away, we won't be providing you with like leave if you are quarantined.
Yeah. Well, there was another thing I saw, and I don't know if it was true or not, but there's talk some companies are going to be closing.
I would not be surprised.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I think one of the big things we were told, we had a conference with my like faculty group, which isn't related at all, but some of the senior members, are in multiple areas. And since a lot of the stuff that I do kind of goes into statistics and stuff, that flows back into how, the people are working on it are basically looking at its spread. So how it models as like a function of maths and stuff like that. Like there's a lot of different factors into it, and basically people write equations and do simulations to see its rate of spread across the world.
Yeah.
And, if we don't have a vaccine in the next 6 months, it's going to spread across Australia very largely. Like the number of infected people at now maybe 44 or 45, it was 44 yesterday,
Yeah.
will go up to a few hundred to possibly a few thousand
Yeah.
within the next 3 months. Like, that's unavoidable, and it's not something to be scared about because 999 out of those 1,000 people are going to be totally fine. And, you're going to get a cold and probably not even... Like, as soon as it reaches that rate where, like, a lot of people are getting it, you're not going to know that you have it.
Yeah.
People are going to forget about it as a serious thing. Like, there will be people who are going and buying more toilet paper, but...
Oh, yeah.
It's not really that much to worry about. And that by that point, when it's spreading rapidly, there's going to be cases like we're seeing in Europe and China and Asia that businesses will have to shut down for, like, not security reasons, but just general health reasons. So
Yep.
if you imagine places like, not necessarily shopping centers, but where people are packed in very tightly together. So maybe like food districts and shopping areas, cinemas, all of those sorts of things. Like in Italy, I heard schools and universities are being shut down for 10 days, the next 10 days, I think. Like schools and universities are all being shut down for 10 days because there's just so much spread there that if you have all of these people together,
It's
just going to spread further.
So it's almost like they've got some form of liability at some point.
Yes,
don't
exactly.
They have to.
It's up to the business to say, like, this is probably just not morally safe for us to be running this.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be surprised if that happens here within the next 3 months.
It probably will.
I'd be really interested to see if it does happen because I'm just keen to see how people respond to it.
And that's where it starts becoming the whole chaos side of things. Like,
Yeah.
will there be chaos?
No.
You don't think?
No.
It's interesting though, isn't it?
I don't think there's going to be chaos. People are just going to get annoyed and frustrated that they don't really know what's going on. But I don't think it will...
Not like in Contagion where people are storming shops.
No, because, I mean, the only way for that to happen is if this mutates. Because, I mean, like, viruses can mutate over time. And that's what...
Mutates into, like, what are we talking?
So-
X-Men here or what are we...
Yeah.
Yeah?
They, you can light someone on fire or... No.
That'd be cool.
It would be cool. Probably really bad.
Yeah, probably not ideal, but it'd be cool.
I mean, like, if you think of a lot of common things these days that you used to take antibiotics for that now won't necessarily be fixed by taking antibiotics because
Yeah.
they've grown resilient to the antibiotics.
Okay.
If this thing was to take an excessive amount of time to formulate a vaccine to, it could maybe the rate that people are defeating it in your natural immune system, maybe, I don't know how, this is me talking from I hate biology, so I don't know much about this.
Yeah.
But it very well could maybe get to a stage where it mutates itself into being more dangerous to a certain part of your body, or it finds a way to beat a certain blood cell or whatever it is that's fighting it off in everyday people, and then pose a bigger risk. If that happens, yeah, probably people will freak out. But by that point, they will already not really understand what's going on, so probably still won't understand. They'll just see more deaths. If they see more deaths, then people will start freaking out. Because
Yeah.
that's what it happens in the movie. In the movie, the reason people I think are freaking out so much is because there are,
A ridiculous
it's
toll
it's
count.
1 in 4 people that were dying in the movie. And
yeah.
like that is huge. Like,
Yeah, 1 in 4 people
Yeah.
globally is
yes,
ridiculous.
that's massive. That's a lot of people. And that's nowhere near that for this.
Because there was an interesting... Oh, God. I'm realising how much of a nuffy I am as we talk. Like, I'm about to quote another statistic from a film.
I mean, like, that's
But-
relevant.
well, I
like,
think it's
to
relevant.
this conversation.
And given it's historical, I'd imagine they had to have some form of accuracy to it. But globally, they said, in the 1920s with the, what was it, Spanish flu?
Oh, yeah. This is the I remember the quote. Yeah, they
Yeah.
said that the Spanish flu killed
1%
1% of the world,
of the global population.
which is a lot of people. And
It's a
1% of
lot.
the world today is a lot more than it was then as well.
Yes.
Yes.
So like it's happened before, but obviously back before technology and
Yeah,
medicine
the
were
medicine
all-
was at that stage.
immune systems probably weren't
Yeah.
what they are now.
And you can keep going further back
Yeah.
to the Black
Back in black.
Plague. Sorry, I can't speak.
It's fine.
Got the flu.
Oh.
Yeah, you go back and you've got the Black Plague and diseases like that that killed a much bigger portion of people.
Yeah.
and, you know, it was really bad, but probably could have been dealt with quicker by today's standards.
Tell me, let me just feel you out here, given that you are more on the science side of things, so you might not lean into this. Any conspiracy interests on this whole thing? Yes.
I think not from me, but I've definitely heard things.
Give us some of the ones you've heard.
I feel like
love a
this,
good
I feel like this
conspiracy
has
theory.
come from my mum because she likes popping out really bizarre conspiracy theories.
With no real context to it? Is it
Yeah.
usually just sort of
It's just
blurted
like,
out?
you know, she's sitting there watching maths and like, and she just sits there and looks at me and goes, I had to sit there and watch maths with her.
I was gonna
that's
say,
one of the problems here. She turns to me and goes, I reckon this is like a government created disease to cull the population. And I'm thinking,
probably a common
yeah, I think that's probably the most
conspiracy
common
theory.
thing.
Yep.
But you think about it and you're like, well, if they wanted to cull the world population, wouldn't you think they would have done a better job at making the disease?
Yeah, because it's not
Because
killing
it's not
many
really
people.
doing much.
No.
I mean, like, you're killing old people that are going to die soon anyway.
Yeah.
So maybe you're reducing the amount of senior healthcare workers we need?
And
Is that your goal?
Yeah. You're killing an industry? Is
Yeah.
that what? Well, I guess, and that's why that one's probably the most common, because people can form some type of logic behind it. Okay, so to relate this back to more pop culture, Avengers.
Yes.
You're like,
Oh, yeah, I'm like, hang on, where are you going with
this is a stretch. No, but Thanos. What was
Yeah.
his whole motive?
Oh, yeah, because we needed to balance the scales.
Yeah, so the planet could survive. You need to balance the scales because essentially, and you
Yeah.
wanted to halve the population.
And that's the joke that I've been using in this case. If someone says this is a, like, created, planned genocide, then you follow it with Thanos was right.
Yes.
Yeah.
But there were people, and I was probably one of them, where when you're watching Avengers, especially in a world now where we are also environmentally conscious, we're aware that humans are ruining the earth or whatever. You sort of find yourself going, he's got a point. I mean, he didn't go about it right.
In a pessimistic sense, I mean, like, a mass genocide on, like, that scale would probably benefit the environment to some extent. I'm trying to be really careful with my words here because I also
now
can't
you're gonna
prove that would even
No.
happen. Like, you know, yeah, if all humans were to disappear right now, the world would improve.
But my point is, to what you're saying, that it seems easy enough for even us uninformed people to go, yeah, that would make sense, I
Yeah.
guess. Like, there's more people now than what there ever was, and they say that the planet is in worse shape now than what it ever was.
Yeah.
Well, there's more
Yep.
people. I guess that the basic mass of that would be more people, more problems.
Yeah, get rid of more people.
Yeah.
So you solve some problems.
So it's easy enough for people to jump on conspiracies like that because it's basic.
Yeah.
And it's easy enough to process. You're able to go, yeah, I get that. That's simple. I understand it. Some of those other conspiracies where you start talking about, you know, I know I've read ones about more in-depth military and government stuff, which are, you know, there's benefits.
What, like making biological weapons
Yeah.
and stuff?
Yeah, that becomes a bit harder for people to be able to understand the rationale of
Yeah.
doing because they're going, well, that's just for war. Like that, that's
Yeah, and
fucked
it's also
up.
a war crime.
It's a war crime, and people will just sort of sit there and be like, yeah, but like surely they're not doing that.
Yeah.
This other one, people are also feeling a little bit. They're a little bit like, well, you know, I'm susceptible to this little grand plan of their coronavirus, which is to wipe out half the population. It makes sense. That makes sense. Whereas war, people feel a bit more detached from, I think,
Yeah, yeah,
because it's not a reality of our everyday.
yeah, definitely.
Coronavirus is.
Yes.
It's a flu.
Yep. But
It's-
it's still not something that impacts everyone. So, I mean, like, if you were to think about it, that they were trying to do it to get rid of people, they probably would have made it, I guess, more potent to maybe kill 1 in 10 people rather than 1 in 1,000 people.
Can you imagine if there was a virus that was killing 1 in 10?
I would probably be buying toilet paper.
I would absolutely.
Actually, I still don't know that I would be buying toilet paper. I would probably be buying smart things like batteries and
Yeah.
because, you know, people would probably go crazy and then, you know,
You're
no
gonna
one
be
would rock up
locked
to
up.
work and electricity would go out, and that goes into like your whole apocalyptic scenario.
I wonder what would happen. Let's say people's fears came true here with this whole, I've got to stock up on toilet paper because I might not be able to go outside soon. What would that? I wonder what that would be like. Like, what do you reckon people would be doing?
Being really sad. I
Yeah.
reckon it would be a very sad reality. And that's why I'm always like, if it got to like an apocalyptic kind of thing, or like people stuck at home, I'd go out to the country. I mean, because you don't have to be stuck inside. Like, my dad's got a property out near Inverloch, and I'd go there. I've got a farm to run around on. I'm not near my neighbours if that's the problem.
Yeah, you've got space.
Yeah.
That's the
And
issue here.
stuff
There's
to
no
do
space
as well. Like, you've got stuff to keep you occupied. So,
especially if you've got your batteries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, well, it's solar panel.
But what would? And that's the thing. What would go down? Like, do you reckon there'd be no electricity?
Well, that goes into the whole like businesses being shut down kind of thing. Because if you think about electricity, it's run by people.
Yeah.
So the people at those plants and stuff would have to be keeping their jobs. If they stay home and no one goes to run these things,
There's no one.
you've got a a build up of where you've still got all of your utilities running, and then they'll reach a point where some things will start failing. Not working at all, but it'll kind of cascade into. Yeah, maybe your electricity will flicker and then go out, and then there'll be blackouts because more people are using their power, and then they'll be using up what's left, and then there won't really be much left unless you're running solar power or something else.
I said this is when I think there'd be chaos. Because
Yeah,
people
no,
are so
as soon
used
as
to.
if something like power was to go out, there would definitely be chaos.
That would be chaos. And I would imagine before the power goes out, food sources are probably limited.
Yeah, I mean, people would be doing what they're doing now to a greater extent and totally raiding supermarkets, grocery stores, markets. And again, that's why you go out to the country, because there's not as many people and you can get to that stuff first.
True.
Or you go to we've got a veggie patch. You've got your own supply of enough nutrients. And then maybe you go hunting. Get some real world skills in.
Living off the land.
Yeah. I mean, you don't have a...
I'm not nearly equipped for this, Justin. I am not nearly equipped.
It's not hard to get equipped.
I-
But you shouldn't have to think about trying to get equipped. This isn't we're not going to go on... What's that TV show that's like Apocalypse Builders, or what's it called? Where the people...
Oh, where they build do they build bomb
Doomsday
shelters?
Preppers.
Doomsday Preppers, yeah.
Great quality TV.
Okay. On this. Okay, so this is playing right into what you're just talking about. I'm not going to say where I was the other day, but I was somewhere you find yourself from time to time as well. And there was an individual there. I'm going to say there was a contractor. Okay? In this location. And, mate, overheard this person talking about their bunker.
My God.
Proper bunker.
I didn't
And he was
think
on the
people
phone.
did that here.
He was on the phone to his mate, and they were talking about the coronavirus.
Yeah.
And so, got the dogs running all through the hallway. They're talking about the coronavirus, and he starts saying to his mate, "Oh yeah, no, I'm set in the bunker. I've got something like 80 liters of water." Like, just talking about, he was talking about his stock that he's got. He was doing a stock take
Yeah.
of his little bunker. I didn't think people really had bunkers here.
I didn't either.
Is that a real thing?
I thought people only did it in America, and it kind of makes sense for places in America because you've got tornadoes and things like that.
You've
And
got tornadoes.
Probably more threat of North Korea bombing you.
Yes, I was going to say you're a target for
Yeah.
nuclear war. Australia, what the hell?
No.
This is ridiculous. And also, here's my biggest issue with it. A bunker, right? I wouldn't think this person has a bunker that is anything more than just a room under his house,
Yeah.
which has normal ventilation.
Oh, yeah.
Like, what?
And he's just been speaking about it in public.
Yep.
And if you're advertising you've got something
Oh,
like that,
yeah, he's
you're
having-
a target. He's
there's
put
a
a
couple
target
of-
on his head.
Knocks at the door.
Oh, absolutely.
Come apocalypse
So
day.
he's thinking he's smart, but he's probably the dumbest one out of everyone else there.
But it makes you wonder, doesn't it, how many people have bunkers in Australia?
That's kind of sad.
It's sad, but
Yeah.
I got to tell you, it's like on. Do you remember that Simpsons episode where the meteor is coming towards
Yeah.
Springfield?
Yep. Mhm.
And who has a bunker? Somebody. Is it Flanders? Flanders has a bunker.
Yeah.
Is it
I can't
Flanders?
remember.
I feel like it was Flanders. Somebody has a bunker anyway,
yeah.
and all of Springfield are pretty much trying to get into this bunker, and they
Yeah.
end up all just cramming in there. And I remember when I was a kid thinking, God, if a meteor ever hits Diamond Creek, Melbourne, Australia, I don't have a bunker. Like, there's something about it where
Yeah.
you laugh and you go, huh, a bunker. When are you ever going to
Better buy
need that?
one.
But I tell you what, if I ever
Yeah.
did need it, I'd wish I did have one.
Yeah.
No one expected coronavirus. This guy's probably laughing now. He's going, I built the bunker 5 years ago. Who's laughing now?
And probably half
Me and
the
my
stuff,
toilet paper.
Probably half the stuff that he's bought in a shopping centre where people have been sick, and he's gotten sick from going and
Oh, it's
buying
all in
all
there.
of that.
Mate,
Yeah.
well, yeah. See, and this was one thing I got from the movie, from Contagion, was when they were talking about opening the box from China and her being like, no, it can't live in there. Do you know how often I've said to people, oh, they're buying products that are shipped straight from these countries where this virus is. They're going to have it anyway. That theory's out the window, so they really are killing it. They're killing it.
Yeah, good business.
I don't know. Bunkers seems extravagant to me, but did you see pop culture being impacted by coronavirus? James Bond.
Push back to November.
That's a big statement.
That is a smart move.
So do you think the
This is not for health reasons in the slightest.
No,
this is purely
business.
money.
This is
And
business.
they made the absolute right choice.
what do you walk me through their logic? What do you think it was from a business standpoint? Why was this important?
People aren't thinking about going to the movies right now. People don't want to go to the movies right now because you're going into a breeding ground if that is in your head already. Mm-hmm. If you are trying to avoid people, you don't want to be crammed into a room with 100 other people.
With recycled air just being blown
Exactly.
around in there? Yeah.
So, you've got countries like Italy who have already closed down everything like cinemas because of what they pose a threat to.
Yep.
And, in that sense alone, you've lost business. So they're thinking on a worldwide scale, cinemas in Asia, cinemas in Europe are all being shut down. There's market already lost and a lot of market already lost. And that's no quick fix for that to say, the movie was planned to be out in April.
Yeah, it was April, wasn't it? And now they pushed back to August?
Yeah, it's not going to be cleaned up by April.
No.
Even if it's cleaned up in the next 2 weeks, people are still going to avoid
It's
for
the fear
some
of
time.
people, yeah.
Exactly. It's going to carry over. So they have to push it back. And
That's where it gets interesting, isn't
Yeah.
it? Because that is directly impacting, for instance, the cinema industry.
yeah,
So-
everyone's feeling it.
For cinemas that are open, now that's a lot of business they were relying on.
Yep.
That's not there anymore.
Nope.
Like Bond 25. That's why else it's smart they've done this, because this is the final Bond of the Daniel Craig series. I don't even know who James Craig is. Bond 25. They're setting it up to be pretty momentous as well.
Yep. It's supposed to be a big film.
Big film. You got to make the most of it. Like, this can't just fly under the radar for
No,
coronavirus.
absolutely not. Yeah.
But I tell you, man, like, there's going to be companies out there, some of those big cinema chains. What do? Do you close the doors?
I mean, if it gets to the point, I don't think you get a choice. Someone will be closing your doors
Yes,
if it gets to that stage.
But from a it makes you wonder, from a business standpoint, does it make more sense to be doing it before that? Like,
Yeah,
you're not making the money.
Yeah, no, I think you're right there. It's like you really got to think about, I guess, how long you think this thing's going to last for. If more movies start pushing back, like, we've got in the same kind of span of a couple weeks, there's Black Widow, Wonder Woman.
True. See, I didn't actually consider those.
Fast
Are
and
they
Furious?
approaching?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, Fast and the Furious has to be right around the corner. That's a huge film.
Yeah, these are big things. And, there's a good chance a few of them are going to get pushed back.
I'm wondering what the demographic is, which are more inclined to not go to the film, to
Probably
the
the
cinemas.
Fast and Furious demographic.
You think? Because
Is that a big insult?
no, like, probably.
yeah.
But at the same time, I was going to say maybe they're not the type to avoid it, because maybe they're like, it's all crap anyway. Who cares? They're a bit more rough. This is coming from a guy that's not manly at all. So I'm not a car guy.
I think it could be both sides, because they could also be the people that are thinking up these conspiracy theories.
Yeah, I think.
And they're like,
that's-
if we go to the cinema, they'll be pumping it through the ventilation so that
Yeah.
we all get sick.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I've just come up with a great conspiracy
That's a
theory.
very good conspiracy theory. I've heard that's happening.
Oh, right. Have you actually? Is that real? Or have you just said that on the spot?
No, I've literally just said that on the
Oh,
spot.
okay. I was like, wow. People are clutching at straws.
I mean, that could be on the internet. Let's be honest. I think you are. I think you're right, and in what you're saying, kind of just shines the light on the fact that there is no demo. I think everyone doesn't know how to think or feel about the whole thing.
Yeah.
Because that's not the only thing. So there's cinemas, for instance, but San Fran Comic Con cancelled.
Are you serious? I didn't know that was a thing.
Fuck, was it San Fran? No, not San Diego.
Yeah, okay.
So San Fran. So San Diego is the big one.
Still, that's a big one, isn't it?
Yeah.
San Diego is obviously the biggest.
You've made me panic. Hang on. I'm pretty sure I saw San Fran Comic Con.
I wouldn't be surprised. It makes sense. Those conventions are, again, like that's the cinema situation. You've got a breeding ground of just thousands of people in a really close space. You think about the same thing with music concerts. You know, Queen and Elton John here have just been lucky because they have
got in just before it. Yeah,
But-
what else is coming out? There's all sorts of things.
Oh, there's
always something.
Exactly. There's going to be concerts coming out, you know, with big artists, I think, for the next few months or whatever. And that's questionable at best.
Well, have you ever heard of, I hadn't until today, SXSW Festival?
South by Southwest. I think that's that.
Is that what the...
Yeah.
I've heard of that.
Yeah.
I saw it in the news today, and I clicked on it because I'm like, what is that? And
Yeah,
then in
that's
the article,
South by
they didn't say it
Southwest.
once. Well, that makes more sense.
Yeah.
Because they were talking about it like it's the biggest thing ever. And I was like, this sounds huge. In Austin.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, this is ridiculous. Oh, well, yeah, I know what that is.
Has that been cancelled?
That's cancelled.
Oh, my God. And obviously...
First time in 30 years that hasn't run.
Well, even bigger, the Olympics.
My next point. Yeah, let's talk about that. That's pretty crazy. That's looking like it's going to be...
There's no way that's going ahead.
I can't.
And-
When is that meant to be? When is the
Oh,
Olympics?
jeez. Mid-year, maybe?
I think it was June.
Yeah. It's like...
May or June or something like that.
It's a
Mate, that
snowball
is-
of problems that being cancelled. 24th of July.
Okay, July. Fuck, could they have it cleaned up by then?
No, I don't think so. It doesn't matter how long they have to clean it up. It's more of the like impacts in the economy and stuff
the
like
tourism
that.
is
Like
just gonna be
it's
shot.
all just totally blown. I don't think there's any way that's running.
Yeah. Because
that's
and
crazy.
think about it from this angle. The athletes have trained 4 years to now have the Olympics cancelled. They won't postpone it. They can't. It's going to
No,
run
they
every
can't.
4 years.
And I think it's LA, have already got it booked in for the next 4 years. And like, if you were to say, no, you can have it in like Tokyo, you can have it in 4 years, then LA are like, we've already started building stuff.
Yeah.
And like, but you know,
So then all these people are, it's like, so what, are LA going to be reimbursed for the costs that they've had to, like, what
yeah,
happens
so
with all this?
They just have
There's
to
too
say
many moving parts.
that it's in Japan, yeah?
Yep.
They just have to say, you don't get it. And the only way that they would be able to say is you get it next would have to be like 12 years away because they build these things up
Yeah.
so structured that it would probably be like 12 years that they would be able to.
Probably. I don't know if they've got the one
actually
after
build
LA or not, but
But like, you think about how much money they've spent on infrastructure, like building new stadiums, building housing, like what
hotels,
we did.
everything.
Yeah, and you look at all that stuff. That stuff generally doesn't do much aside from the Olympics. Like all the stuff in Melbourne's starting to be knocked down now.
Yeah.
Like the Olympic housing and all of that, they're starting to pull down because it's just
It's not used.
It's not used.
Yeah.
It's falling apart. Like stadiums are nice, and there'll be a tourist. Like even in Japan, the stadiums that they have built will still be tourist attractions.
Yeah.
because it's an Olympic stadium. Like it's going to be nice.
But is it an Olympic stadium if it was never used for the Olympics?
Well, it was built for the Olympics.
I mean, it
so
almost
you know
becomes
it's going to be really nice.
It almost becomes a tourist destination
Yeah.
based on the fact of the history
But
of
that,
it.
yeah,
It was
that's
never
like
used.
1 in every 5 of the buildings they probably would have had to build for it.
Yeah.
So they've lost all. And you think about it as well, the fact that this has come so close, they would have had their opening ceremony pretty much down.
Oh,
Can you imagine how much money they would have spent on that? The lighting, the effects, the dancing, the people.
they've booked all this stuff.
In a country like that as well, imagine how extravagant it would have been.
They're paying for it for sure.
That's a lot just out the window.
And that's just, what, 3 or 4 things we've listed.
Yeah. And they're huge.
And like from there, like Disney, all Asian country Disneylands have been closed. Now, I think, what is that, Tokyo? Tokyo Disney.
Oh, yeah, I don't know.
Beyond, Hong Kong Disney? Yeah. Sorry, I'm throwing things at you. You're not even
Yeah, I
too
have
aware.
no idea.
They've all been shut.
That makes sense.
Makes
But
total
that's
sense.
a lot of money.
I know people that were just in Japan and they went to Disneyland. I
Yeah.
was like, of all places.
Yep.
Why
That's-
why Disney?
Yeah, you're really getting shoved up
You-
in people.
Oh.
And like, you know, going on roller coasters and
Touching,
stuff.
yeah,
you're
you get
holding
in.
onto the bars.
Yeah, oh
Even
man.
if you're not holding onto the bars, you're getting it stuck on you. Like, you are there.
It's mind blowing. But that's when I get annoyed with it because I go, okay, it's one thing for us to be like, oh, it's nothing, it's just gonna be a flu. It doesn't mean you have to be.
No, you still have to be smart.
You have to be smart.
Yeah,
You don't
it's
have to
still
just-
a sickness.
You don't have to be
Like,
rebellious about it.
it's
You're not
still
proving
gonna
a
cause
point.
you issues. Like, you should still use hand sanitizer and wash your hands and avoid touching your face.
And it can still kill other people.
Yeah,
It doesn't
You
matter
gotta-
if it's not
yeah,
going to kill
exactly.
you. You
Yeah.
could.
You know, you don't want to get it and then go and visit your grandparents and get one of them seriously
Nah,
sick.
don't
Like,
get
that's
grandma
a
sick.
serious issue that you have to think about. Like, it's no contagion, everyone go nuts, but you just have to be smart.
Yeah.
There is a line that you can sit comfortably on.
It's scary. It's scary. It's scary to just see how people are reacting.
Yeah.
That's
I
the
think it's
scariest
really
part of it.
interesting. It's like a social experiment.
It is. And that's what Georgia was saying to me last night. She was like, if this did turn into a full sort of like lockdown where for the next month we're in lockdown just to try and, you know, contain this and get on top of it. She's like, it would be crap and I would be scared in the moment. But in theory, I'm like, that'd be a bit like interesting,
It
a
would,
bit
yeah.
and exciting, and just to see if everything remained running the same in terms of like you still had access to your news sources because there was still electricity,
Yeah,
those
yep,
sort
yep.
of things. If they minimized everything, and you were told, you know, there was curfews or whatever, it would be interesting.
It would. I think that's like everyone's natural curiosity because you think about the same thing with like more heightened examples of like apocalypses. You'd be like, I wonder what it would be like if there was like, you know, nukes off between Korea and America and that all got destroyed.
Yep.
And then like, you know, what would we do?
Yeah. Last year I was thinking that
Yeah,
when
you'd
there
be
was
like,
the whole
okay, let's say you survived and you're now, you know, you don't have a job or a career because the world's fallen apart. What do you do with yourself?
Where do you go from
Yeah,
here?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's like the Walking Dead style thing. Like, how would you
God, could you imagine if it ended up
leave?
like that?
see? That'd be interesting as well.
No, it wouldn't be interesting. That's too much. The first season Walking Dead, maybe, but it had to recover from there. Season 5 Walking Dead, fuck that.
Season 1 of The Walking Dead was like one of the best seasons of anything,
And then it
season
fell
2 was the
away.
worst season of any TV series I've ever watched in
You
my
didn't,
life.
you didn't like sitting in
Oh
the farm
my
that whole time?
God,
You literally said if there was an outbreak, you'd go to the country
No.
and live on a farm.
yeah, that yes.
So
but
you agree?
I don't want to have to watch other people doing that.
No.
That's boring. That is you just dropping your
Yeah,
mic.
I know. I'm dropping the mic. There wasn't a whole heap of entertainment in that season,
No.
but I guess it was factually
Yeah,
somewhat
no, yeah,
accurate.
I'll give him that. But then the show went on.
The show went on. I stopped watching.
Yeah,
that
so
show.
did I. That's it. The show
See,
went on
I would
and
get
on.
I would get bored with Apocalypse. I would get bored of it.
Being in the apocalypse.
Yeah, if
I
if
feel
we
like-
get there, I'll get bored.
No,
pretty
because
quick.
I reckon you'd try and learn new skills, as you do in real life anyway, but different things that you don't
Yeah.
normally think about, and you'd probably end up finding yourself really enjoying something that you didn't think you would.
Like what? Like sort of
Maybe
knitting
you
or-
got into farming or fishing or something like that, or maybe you got into like construction or like engineering.
Yeah, engineering.
Because electricity is still a thing. We still have electricity. You can use solar panels, you can use wind, like regardless of all of that, you still have ways of having these things work. So you could get into like basically teach yourself to be an electrician. And then maybe you build little components to fix up cars, or maybe you build yourself a little like electric buggy that
you'd be
runs off solar
forced to.
panels.
Yeah, you'd be forced to
Yeah,
learn.
you're forced to learn things. It'd be kind of interesting.
You'd almost be a better version of yourself.
Yeah, you
A more
probably- you
well-rounded.
probably would because you don't have this. That's a different conversation.
Slippery slope, which we're on at the moment.
Yeah,
All right, so you're not concerned.
I'm not concerned, but I'm staying safe.
Yeah, you're
I'm-
skeptical. You're hesitant.
I mean, like it's gonna get worse. I know that for a fact. But worse is in the sense that it's just gonna spread more. So there will be a point where people will have to pay more attention to it. But just be smart about it. Like, it's so straightforward. This isn't rabies or like super.
What did rabies do? Do you know?
Rabies is still a thing. It's just
Is
like,
it?
Yeah, like animals.
Is that
get
when
it.
you get like bitten by a rat? You get rabies?
I don't know. Like dogs can get it, and they're like foaming at the mouth, and they turn into like
yeah,
zombie dogs. You know, like
Zombie dogs.
yeah, zombie dogs.
I never
But with
heard
rabies.
someone call them.
No, neither have I.
No, I think that's new.
It's still early-ish.
It is. It is. All right, so we're not concerned about Corona, but we are concerned about its impact on pop culture.
Yeah,
Bond, August, not April.
I'm thinking more movies are going to follow
I think
suit.
more. I think more will. I think
Yeah.
when a big movie, it takes the first big fish to
Yeah.
be caught. I don't know. What do you?
I don't know where you were going
I don't
with
know
that.
where I was going with that.
It's going to snowball.
Yeah, it'll snowball, and then the rest follow. The rest
Yeah.
are like, well, you know what? Maybe we'll push back. Maybe we'll push back. Suddenly, I'm just glad there's no movie that I'm really eagerly anticipating.
You're not for Wonder Woman? I feel like you would have been really excited.
Yeah, no,
for that.
I'm into Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
When's Nolan's? When's what's that called again?
Tenant?
Tenet. When's Tenet?
No idea.
That'll be an interesting one.
Yeah.
That's
one you would expect to be pushed back.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
Not only because
I feel like that's later anyway, though.
is it? It's
Yeah.
there's trailers on at the moment, and it kind of feels like it's coming up.
Maybe,
I wouldn't be surprised if it's like
maybe
Olympics
it's in
time.
the same bracket. Maybe it's June.
We're a bloody pop culture show. I'll look it up. I think it's got to be. Here we go. The Tenant.
Well, we've got in the next, let's say, month and a half, or let's say the next 2 months, we've got like Pixar movies, like Onward. You know, there's Disney, a lot of Disney content coming out, and you'd think Disney, being a money-making machine, would want to be maximizing their money. So they would probably be one of the first people to jump on that bandwagon.
Yeah.
You know, you got a brand new big Pixar movie and Marvel movie.
Here's a theory. Not a theory as much as a thought. And I don't know in terms of contracts, that sort of stuff. You're Disney. You've got a streaming service now.
You reckon that they would release something like Black Widow straight to that?
If you're going to do it
I mean,
and make a statement, I would say Black Widow's a pretty good one to do
that
it
would
with.
be a huge statement. You're right.
It'd be a huge statement. It would not be good for the cinema industry
No, that
at
would
all.
hurt.
Because that would be a crushing...
In an already
Especially-
slow year.
Especially
like, yeah.
if Disney Plus turned around, saw their subscriptions jump huge because of it, and they saw, if it became the most watched thing on Disney Plus,
Yep.
they'd kind of be like, well,
I think what would happen there, though, is that people would jump on for the month and
They-
then jump straight back off.
that's what I did with Mandalorian. Why can I not find? How do you spell Tenet?
Tenet. It's like
Oh.
what's that word when it's back to front, the same thing?
Yeah, yeah, okay. I didn't spell it like that. It was coming up with Tenet, the company. I was like, well, I don't care about their press release. Tenet.
Also, like
This
the
makes for good
incubation
audio,
period
doesn't it?
thing.
Yeah.
I did search earlier from health.newsouthwales.gov. So, some credibility, I guess.
Yeah.
They say, according to the World Health Organization, which are brought up in Contagion, they don't know how long it lasts on surfaces, but studies are suggesting a few hours to several days.
So is days considered? Is that
Several
to
days,
you-
I would say, would be about 3 days.
But to you, does that make you go, that's a lot?
That is a lot, yeah.
So because you sort of implied that normally hours.
I think
are,
you'd expect it to be like, a couple of hours for some bad things, maybe. A few days is pretty crazy. I don't know when this was published, though, so I don't know if this is updated.
I was going
or
to say who published it. I think is more the question.
Last updated Thursday, the 5th of March. And
Okay.
it's on, it's coming from the WHO, the World Health Organization.
Okay, so it's
probably-
accurate. It's pretty credible.
Yeah. It's a government website.
Wow. July 16, Tenet.
Yeah, well,
That's right in that window.
yep.
Shit. If they're cancelling the Olympics, I would imagine any movies in the first half of this year are.
Yeah. God, that's going to be... I reckon I reckon cinemas in our area are going to get shut. Whether it's from money reasons or it gets the health reason.
I would imagine it's going to be money. If anything,
That's going to be weird.
it's going to be
Like,
strange.
part of me wants it to happen to see what would happen. The part of me is also like,
Well,
want it to happen.
it's interesting. I've I was reading, I don't know how accurate it is, but if a company decides to close its doors,
Yeah.
I don't know. So that's the issue, though. Maybe it's if they're forced to close their doors, they have to pay their employees.
Yeah, well, that's one of the things I was thinking as well. Surely there should be some sort of, I guess, leave for people in a company that gets closed for medical reasons.
Because if people aren't getting paid, does that also start, steering into the chaos of it all? I don't know.
People would get upset.
Money?
There would be a lot of
Money,
people
electricity, food.
upset. Yeah.
Probably
People
your
need
biggest.
those things.
I do.
Yeah, I do.
I do. How am I going to pay for Netflix if I don't have pay?
How are you going to watch Contagion?
I can't. That's the issue.
Well, we
And
can't anyway because it's not on
Yeah,
Australian
I know.
Netflix.
We had to download that one, but yeah. Look, I don't know. It's going to be an interesting time ahead.
It's already been an interesting year, and it's going to be interesting to come.
It has, and I still feel, Justin, we made the right call by doing a. Let's be honest, this was far more of a coronavirus episode than it was Contagion.
But yeah,
My whole premise to you was, no, but we'll talk about, the movie Contagion. Like, it's a movie, it's pop culture.
well, the movie is the virus. Let's just put it at that.
Yeah.
But more extravagant and less accurate.
More Hollywoody.
More Hollywoody. Yeah,
But we love that
Hollywoody.
on
Yeah,
this
exactly.
on this pop culture
Yeah,
report.
That's what we're all about.
All right, well, that's another episode done. Justin, thanks, mate. Thanks for having
me.
a chat.
Yeah,
it's always a pleasure.
It's always good.
Wish it was under better circumstances, but
That's interesting circumstances.
you've made me optimistic. And everyone, stop buying toilet paper.
I mean, like, buy enough that you actually need to use. Stop buying more. You should still have toilet paper.
Thanks, mate. Appreciate it.
Rock it up and down like every which way.
This has been a Cheeky Leprechaun production.